You ever notice how boring cameras are nowadays? I mean, there's nothing special about taking a photo anymore. That's why I'm switching back to my older equipment. They always have that nice old school grain. Wow, now see? That's what I'm talking about. You can barely make out what that even is. Hello everybody, today we're gonna be taking a look at the Game Boy camera. Releasing on June 1st of 1998 in North America. Yeah, in case you're unaware, Nintendo's Game Boy had a camera. The premise being to give users a fun, cheap, and easy way to try out the then new digital camera phenomenon.
Developed by Creatures Incorporated, a successor to Ape Incorporated, Game Freak, and the Nintendo Research and Development 1 division, my introduction to the Game Boy camera was many years ago. You know, probably off of some YouTube videos talking about the scariest Easter eggs in video games or some shit like that. But other than that, I got mine around the time I turned 12 years old, and it's been with me ever since. So, let's see what exactly the Game Boy camera is capable of. So yeah, based off the title screen, you can already tell this is one of Nintendo's more strange endeavors. And to give you a scope into the kind of game this is, you can speed up or slow down the Mario mascot with the D-pad. After snapping out of it and pressing start, we are greeted by 3 main menu options. Or are we? Yeah, there's actually 5 here, with 2 of them being hidden behind the start and select buttons. Get used to that. We'll start with shoot first, as everything else revolves around the photos you take, if you can believe that.
Oh, it's
A child!
Run!
Holy fuck.
Yeah, this is definitely the camera's most infamous feature, the run button. All it actually does is bring up a bunch of random images, some of which scarier than others depending on your age. Besides that, in this RPG-themed menu, we have some simple camera options, the most important one being the actual option to shoot a photo. Now you're probably expecting this to be horrifically bad, but surprisingly, the photos this thing takes are quite discernible.
I decided to go out and pit this against an old point and shoot. Now, of course, the Kodak kicks the Game Boy camera's ass. But hey, you really don't need these comparison photos to be able to distinguish the contents of these images.
The camera offers some light settings, with everything other than the sliders hidden behind select. And no, nothing very professional. That's not shutter speed, that's actually just the sound it makes when you snap a picture. If we back out, we can check our masterpieces and mess with them with various customization options. Over in items is where a self-timer and a time-lapse lies, and in the magic is where our wacky effects options are. If you want a good point of reference, think Apple's photo booth. It's also where we get to put our face into the games, which I'll save for later. For now, we're going to be going back to the main menu and entering the select menu. This is where we get to make some interesting stuff. We can draw and stamp all over our photos. Hotspot and compose, which are kind of weird. Like, compose is just stitch or merge photos, which I guess can be cool or useful, but hotspot is just a hidden effect you can add if you click on a specific part of the photo in the hotspot viewer. I guess it was just something you could show your cool 90s friends.
Hey dude.
Oh, hey dude.
Dude, you gotta check out this sick thing I made. It's called a hotspot. I don't get it, man. This is kinda stupid. Man, fuck you!
Then we have Edit, which is definitely one of the cooler modes here, as you get to access an animation suite and can make stop motion animations or even just regular animations if you use the paint feature in tandem with the photos. Also, the album here is just a shortcut to photo deletion. Lastly here is the link feature, which allows you to send or receive photos from the link cable. But also, this is where you print off your photos. Those of you already familiar with the Game Boy camera know about this peripheral too. But for those of us who don't, the Game Boy printer exists, and it was compatible with a handful of games, and it prints thermally, like a POS terminal. Yeah, no shit, I don't have one to show, right? Eventually I'll get one for a good price, but yeah, that concludes our select menu escapades. Moving on to View. This shouldn't take long. Now, I know this may sound crazy, alright? But what if I told you view lets us view everything we've done so far? Yeah, I know, it's a hard pill to swallow. Take your time. Album is just a regular photo album, but I will mention there's an album B here, which is full of unlockable photos that you get from just using the camera. And show is for a slideshow. Our animation. And the hotspot. Now, let's actually play this video game. Right away, you're thrust into Space Fever 2, a sequel to the Nintendo classic I'm sure everybody knows. For a brief moment, this is also how you choose to play Ball, a port of the Game & Watch game of the same name, and DJ, a music composing program. Now, if you choose to ignore these two options, you can continue to play and even unlock a new game, Run Run Run, which is unlocked after getting 2,000 plus points in Space Fever 2. Spoiler alert, getting 22 seconds or less in Run 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 is how you get the true credits and beat Game Boy Camera. Yes, you can technically beat this game. Last of all, pressing start on this menu takes us to space again, and also some more formal options. Here is where one can simply view their camera records, high scores, or the credits. And you can also modify and view your user info here. Yeah, there's not much present other than the cool space menu. And with that, we've covered all the Game Boy Camera has to offer. Final verdict. Well, the Game Boy Camera is certainly an interesting piece of kit. And for me, it snaps up a review score of a 7.5 out of 10. I feel it deserves this as many of the major limitations is simply due to the hardware and the time period. I feel like if they just waited a year and made this using that extra small boost that the Game Boy Color provides, this really could have been actually viable as a camera, at least for fun. Plus, the boost in technology could have even allowed things like PC connectivity if Nintendo was feeling really experimental. But primarily, native color support and larger storage than the abysmal 30 photos would really help. Otherwise, this hardware was more so designed as an experience, and it does that well. Exploring the camera always feels so personal, and the interface, while a little unorthodox, feels good, and adds to the immense amount of charm that then world's smallest digital camera has. Not to mention all the other little additions like the mini music composer or animation suite have to offer. If you're the creative type, the Game Boy Camera is right up your alley.
And there you have it, my review of the Game Boy Camera, a very competent little, I guess, novelty device, although it seems so much more than that, and a 7.5 is very much deserved, due to simply the fact, it was the world's smallest camera, and it had such a good price point for technically what it was, even if it was very limited. Of course, you're not going to be storing any family photo albums on this thing, but I'll be damned. For the experience that it is, it's so unbelievably charming, and you really aren't gonna get something like that anymore. It's so delightfully 90s. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah, I'm a proud owner of a Game Boy Camera, and I'm not afraid to show it. Wow, the quality never ceases to amaze me.
What's that big thing way behind you? What is it?
The house is behind me.
The CN Tower, look. The CN Tower behind you.